Image processing is done using a program, the part that I prefer, one I prefer, is called Astrosurface, which combines everything into a single interface. And why won't it come up? Because I didn't click hard enough. And I know already that Control O opens the interface to where the caption is stored. Here's today's folder that was just created, and here's my capture. It's in a file called SER, which is basically like a raw image file with all the highest definition. We'll just go ahead and open it up here. By the way, let's let you see it. I thought I was going to play it in the preview player, but we'll go ahead. We're in a monochrome mode, and we're going to register the images. First, we'll select a region of interest, which is someplace where it can find some pretty good contrast to find features that it can align as it does the image alignment. And then we'll do hello cursor, my old friend. Where are you? There you are. Where? Come back. This is really hard in a movie camera. So analyzing the image, which it goes through fairly quickly. It's pulling out the best frames and then ranking the rest of them behind it in image quality. And this line, red line, is an overall ranking of the quality. We actually had good quality throughout the extent of the exposure, so I'm going to go, instead of 25%, I'll go for using 50% of them. What this is saying is that images up to this point are very little degraded from the very best images compared to those that may be way out here. We'll go ahead and use 50%. I don't see any problem with that. And the next thing we do is set a feature called tiling, which merely breaks the screen apart into chunks that are aligned individually at this next step, which is stacking. So now it's going through those 250 frames, and we'll be aligning each of the tiles and picking the best image data from each of the tiles at that tile location and adding them to the final compiled image at the end. I've chosen PNG as the image format. You can choose TIFF. Either of those are very high bandwidth raw files that can store a lot of dynamic information. How are we doing on processing? So we picked 250 frames, so it's going to be a little slower. And again, this is on a laptop. I believe I have i7 processors in this one. That's not it. But anyway, it's doing the best it can. Maybe we'll pause for a little bit and come back. Back again about 2 minutes later. It's getting near the end of the image stacking, and there comes our image ready to edit. So we'll go to the little edit button and say yes, we want to close all the interface and go straight into stacking or processing. The first thing I like to do if it's a color image is take the color out. This was a mono capture, and so here we are. I'll choose wavelets, and this is the part that I just get the whole greatest joy from. You can see that the image looks a little fuzzy around the edges, and I'm using a pre-selected set of controls in the wavelet processing, which does deconvolution processing. And I'm going to drag a little area to see what's going on there. And immediately the image quality snaps into place. I've sharpened this as much as I think it can bear for a deconvolution pass. There's a subsequent, what shall I call it, sharpening pass that we can do on it. I've deconvolved the whole image now, and we'll say OK to that process. Now I'll go into the sharpening process, and again I'll drag a box so I can see what's happening, although I've already pre-selected values that I'm using there, and say OK. On this one I'm still getting a bright background, and so I'm going to actually take some of that color out, some of that dark color, by simply clipping it off the back end. That's not perfectly black, but it's pretty good and has not harmed the blacks that are already in here. You can think of it as removing a layer off. It's not removing image data until I start actually affecting the blacks that are in the moon itself. So having done that, I'll now clear up the whole thing, watch the black background clear up, and we're ready to move on to the next step, which is to crop it. And the reason for this process is that because the wind is waving things around, the frames don't actually line up real well, and so you can have a little bad edge that you need to trim off. Especially important if you're going to stitch an image together so that you don't have lines in the image that are left over from an overlapped frame. So I've taken enough overall edge off, and I'll finish my crop and say OK. And now it's time to save. And when I save an image, it automatically brings up the PNG image that it was deconvolved from, but I want to give it a different name. And what I typically do is just keep that name, but add a -f, meaning fixed, to it. And that will help me come back and find it later to put into the stacking program. So there we have it. We've just gone through a single frame, processing a single frame from a movie, basically, of 500 images. And I wanted to show the full image. We'll get back to that. I'll just put the image in a file. That's the end of one round of processing.